Welcome back to The Explainer. I am so excited you're here with us today. Look, if you're the kind of person who loves seeing how, tiny abstract ideas completely rewrite the physical world around us, you're in exactly the right place. We're actually going to skip the usual agenda today because I just want to dive straight into this wild true story. It's one that perfectly bridges the gap between obscure digital code and the real, tangible economy that you and I live in every single day.
So, I want you to think for a second. What's the most expensive meal you've ever paid for? Maybe it was a super fancy anniversary dinner or, I don't know, a luxurious high-end steakhouse. But now, specifically, what is the absolute most you have ever paid for a pizza? Maybe 30 bucks? 50 if you got the giant one loaded with gourmet toppings delivered at 2 in the morning? Well, keep that number in your head because I promise you it completely pales in comparison to what we're looking at next.
10,000 Bitcoin. Okay, let's dive into this. Because this isn't just some random made-up number. This is an absolutely jaw-dropping sum that was actually handed over for a single pizza delivery order. To really grasp how we got from a few lines of internet code to a multi-billion-dollar global asset class, we got to start right here with this unbelievably expensive cheese-covered transaction.
Chapter 1. The Most Expensive Pizzas. A $41 meal that made history. It's really easy to think of cryptocurrency purely as, lines of data on a computer screen. But this abstract technology has some deeply human and, frankly, very hungry roots.
So here is the legendary story. It's May 22, 2010, and a programmer down in Florida named Laszlo Hanyek was hungry. So he goes onto this niche cryptography forum and offers 10,000 of his mined bitcoins to literally anyone who would just order him 2 large Papa John's pizzas. And a 19-year-old named Jeremy Sturdivant actually took him up on it. He ordered the pizzas, got the digital currency. At the time, those 10,000 bitcoins were worth about 41 bucks. Today, though, depending on the day's market swings, that exact same stack of Bitcoin is valued in the hundreds of millions of dollars. Crazy, right? But the money isn't even the most important part here. This proved that Bitcoin could actually work as a real-world medium of exchange. For the very first time, 2 independent people agreed that this entirely new, totally abstract digital code had the exact same value as physical food. It wasn't just a fun theory anymore. It bought dinner.
Part 2. Birth of a Digital Currency. Genesis of the blockchain. So how in the world did we even get to that point? Let's zoom out for just a second and look at the macro history of how this digital currency was actually born, just a couple of years before that fateful pizza purchase. The timeline here is genuinely breathtaking when you look at it. In August of 2008, a domain, bitcoin.org, was quietly registered. Almost nobody even noticed. But then, just 2 months later in October, a pseudonymous figure, going by Satoshi Nakamoto, published this now famous white paper, laying out a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. And then the momentum just accelerated rapidly. By January 3, 2009, the very first block of data, the Genesis block, was officially mined. Shortly after that, on January 12th, Nakamoto sent 10 bitcoins to a programmer named Hal Finney, completing the world's very first Bitcoin transaction. So in less than 6 months, we went from a completely theoretical idea to a functional, running network. Now check out this hidden message embedded directly into that very first Genesis block. Nakamoto permanently inscribed a headline right from the Times of London, Chancellor on brink of second bailout for banks. And this brilliantly served 2 purposes. First off, it was an indisputable timestamp. It proved the block was created on or after January 3, 2009. But second, it stands as this historical, totally neutral statement reflecting the macroeconomic environment of the traditional, centralized banking system at the exact moment this decentralized alternative was launching.
Section 3. A roller coaster of value, from pennies to thousands. Because as soon as the technology actually proved it worked, the attention shifted rapidly away from the computer science breakthroughs and straight to its financial valuation, kicking off an era of absolutely wild price volatility.
Just look at the staggering price trajectory here. Back in early 2011, Bitcoin finally reached parity with the US dollar, so 1 coin equaled $1. Big deal at the time. But fast forward to December 2017, and a massive surge of public interest pushed the price up to nearly $20,000. And then, despite numerous crashes, serious regulatory hurdles, and massive global economic shifts, by December of 2024, it officially smashed right through the 6-figure mark, reaching $100,000 per coin. We're talking about a financial trajectory that is unlike almost anything else in modern history.
Number 4. Mainstream milestones and turbulence. Hacks, seizures, and nations. You see, with that kind of massive, unprecedented valuation came massive, real-world stakes. The journey from a quirky internet experiment to a globally recognized asset was, well, it was anything but smooth.
This is a pretty painful number in crypto history, 744,000. That is the staggering amount of Bitcoin reported stolen back in 2014 when Mt. Gox suddenly filed for bankruptcy. And to put that into perspective, Mt. Gox was an exchange handling roughly 70% of all global Bitcoin traffic at the time. So yeah, this was a massive, massive wake-up call regarding the security of digital assets when they're stored on third-party platforms.
And because of events like that, governments and law enforcement quickly realized, okay, we need to understand and interact with this technology. In October 2013, the FBI seized roughly 26,000 Bitcoin from the Silk Road website during the arrest of its alleged operator. This was a really huge moment because it demonstrated that while Bitcoin is pseudonymous, it is entirely traceable. Law enforcement agencies were successfully developing the tools they needed to actively intervene.
And those law enforcement capabilities just kept evolving to meet increasingly serious threats. In 2021, the U.S. Justice Department successfully tracked and recovered $2.3 million worth of Bitcoin. This was crypto that had been paid out to a criminal cyber group during the really devastating, highly disruptive Colonial Pipeline ransomware attack.
Now, let's look at how all of this builds into mainstream institutional adoption. Because by 2021, this digital currency had officially leaped from internet subcultures straight onto the world stage. El Salvador made history, becoming the very first country to adopt Bitcoin as legal tender right alongside the US dollar. That exact same year, Tesla purchased $1.5 billion in Bitcoin just to hold on its corporate balance sheet. And then by 2024, Wall Street fully integrated the asset when the US SEC approved spot Bitcoin ETFs. This essentially meant everyday folks could simply buy into it through traditional stock markets. Objectively speaking, these milestones mark a profound shift in global finance.
Section 5. The Global Pizza Party. From one order to a worldwide movement. Okay, so we've looked at the massive macroeconomic shifts. Now, I want to zoom back into the micro level, the cultural impact, and take a look at how this community remembers its humble, cheesy roots. Enter PizzaDAO. Now, this is a decentralized autonomous organization, or a DAO, which is essentially an internet-native collective that shares a bank account and shares a mission. And their specific mission, bringing the internet, cryptocurrency, and pizza together. They aim to tokenize pizzerias and, honestly, more importantly, invite the general public into the Web3 space. That's the next iteration of a decentralized internet. But instead of using complex white papers, they're doing it through the universal language of free food.
They operate on a few really interesting core beliefs. They believe that markets can be positive-sum and actually enrich communities. They believe digital scarcity, like, say, selling unique digital art as NFTs, can fund analog plenty in the real world. They believe you absolutely shouldn't need permission to help people, and that internet memes are incredibly powerful vessels for raising awareness. Oh, and they also firmly believe in the equal inclusion of all pizza toppings. Yes, they even specifically welcome pineapple. And this brilliantly illustrates that unique blend of highly technical philosophy mixed with a very lighthearted, welcoming internet culture.
Part 6. Crypto meets community. Real-world impact. Because look, it's not just internet jokes and fun theories. Let's look at the actual physical results of this decentralized digital movement.
The impact here is entirely measurable. Using proceeds from selling digital art, like their Rare Pizzas NFT collection, PizzaDAO has funded some massive real-world philanthropy. We're talking about over 100,000 slices of pizza served completely for free. They've supported over 300 independent pizzerias across more than 60 countries, spending well over $350,000 on real, edible food to just give away to local communities. It's such a fascinating bridge, using the sale of digital scarcity to fund local small businesses.
And this really brings us full circle. I mean, just contrast that solitary scene back in 2010, Laszlo Hanyecz making a transaction all alone at his computer just to see if it would actually work, buying 2 pizzas in Florida. Compare that with the massive 2025 Bitcoin Pizza Day global celebration, coordinated across more than 400 cities in over 75 countries, giving away tens of thousands of pizzas. It is a stunning, conceptual representation of just how widely this technology has spread across the globe like wildfire.
To make it even more real for you, consider this awesome micro example from 2025 in Goshen, Indiana. A local advocate and artist, known online as Rescue Orange Jazz, hosted a gathering at Pizzeria Venturi, which, fun fact, is the only certified Neapolitan spot in the entire state. So you've got people gathering right in the Midwest to eat authentic Italian pizza, talk about digital assets, and build local community. All of it funded by a decentralized internet collective. It perfectly captures how global Web3 culture can deeply impact a local, grassroots community.
Which leaves us with this final thought. We've traced this incredible journey from a $41 pizza order on a niche internet forum all the way to trillion-dollar asset classes, national treasuries, and global philanthropic pizza parties. The infrastructure is built, the adoption is spreading, the precedent is firmly set. So, from 2 pizzas to a global economy, what on earth will the blockchain buy next? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today. Keep learning, keep asking questions, and I'll see you next time.